In 7th grade, I found myself diving headfirst into the depths of the dark side of social media, the site that all your parents and teachers warned you about. Pinterest. Yes, I'm talking about the land of DIYs, recipes, and mommy bloggers. Although not the most conventional form of social media, my time soon became completely consumed with hours and hours spent on Pinterest. I might have learned a craft or two during my time on the site, but most of my time was devoted to scrolling through pins about my favorite books, art ideas, but most importantly, those related to social justice. With this new exposure, I began to learn the terminology of beliefs that I had always held, including that of feminism. I found myself vehemently standing up to small instances of sexism in my everyday life, and even having conversations at recess about feminism with my friends. To me, if anyone asked, I was quick to identify as a feminist, later in 8th grade, even giving a small speech to my class about it. To me, my label of a feminist was a source of pride for me, a marker of my identity as an activist and a woman. It became so closely tied with my identity that my friend gave me a pin with the word feminist on it for my birthday. It was quickly a favorite, and I soon proudly displayed it on my pencil bag. As I got older, I was exposed to more people other than just the bubble of my old middle school. With this, I began picking up on other people's attitude towards the label of feminist, and was surprised to hear it in a somewhat derisive context. I began hearing the word to describe women who were loud, mean, angry, and outspoken man-haters, and not at all in the manner of those who believed in gender equality. I was confused and frustrated by this attitude, as someone whose identity had become so closely tied with the word. It was as if someone had taken this integral part of my sense of self and twisted it into something that I could no longer understand. Because of this, I was tentative to identify as a feminist and began using a different pencil bag, one without my feminist pin, shouting out for all to see. Because of the misconceptions surrounding the world, shouting out for all the world to see. It hurt me that a part of myself that had been so crucial, a badge that I proudly wore, had been twisted and contorted into something that I couldn't recognize. But because of the misconceptions surrounding its meanings, I was scared to reclaim the label. Today, I see many of us adhere to different labels to gain a sense of identity, and in turn, use labels as weapons against those we don't identify with. These labels become markers of our identity and humanity, and because of this, we are quick to antagonize those who fall under a different label. For those who fall under a different label, we tend to forget their meaning, and instead perpetuate harsh assumptions, stereotypes, and hasty generalizations. When looking into the concept of polarization, I came across what is known as the Robbers Cave experiment. In the 1954 study, psychologists divided a group of 5th grade boys into 2 camps. The groups were separated in a remote park in Oklahoma, Robbers Cave State Park, hence the name, and during the first week, the boys spent time getting to know one another, bonding through activities such as hiking and swimming. To cement their commitment as a group, each chose a name. One group went by the Rattlers, while the others called themselves the Eagles. After this first week, the boys were informed of their neighboring camp and were presented with a series of competitions over the next few days, with games such as baseball and tug of war. Animosity quickly spread between groups, with some of the boys even getting into physical altercations. When finally separated and asked to describe the other group, the boys attributed members of their own group with positive qualities, while only describing the other group with negative language. Eventually, after manipulating the boys to grow to hate each other, the researchers attempted to lessen the divide, which was far overdue, considering that some of the boys had burned the flag of their counterpart. and some had ransacked the cabins of the others. Unfortunately, these opportunities, bonding opportunities that they provided, including activities such as a movie night or shooting firecrackers, didn't prove to be inconsequential and did nothing to actually repair that divide. To those of us who have gone through the ups and downs of 2020, not to mention January 6th and the rest of 2021 up until now, this study should come as no surprise. The divide in our country is as deep as ever. In the US especially, we tend to attach ourselves to certain labels, and in turn, use the opposing labels as weapons against others. Similar to the 5th grade boys in Oklahoma, we cling to these labels as markers of our position on politics, religion, social justice, and more. Although these labels can allow us to have a sense of clarity in ourselves in such a convoluted world, this clarity is often only extended to ourselves, and we fail to place the same careful discernment on others. It's easy to blame others for the divide in our country, and although our accusations may be accurate, they do nothing to actually reverse that divide. We are only responsible for our own actions, so that's where we'll have to start. When we give labels, we often simplify the complexities and humanities behind each individual that are identified with them. Although labels can unify, they can also allow for a sense of exclusion for those that don't feel fully accepted within the bounds of that language. Despite the growth of the movement for intersectionality, many people of color and those in the LGBTQ+ community feel excluded from the label of feminism, as in the past, and unfortunately, even now, it's been limited to the problems and advocacy of white women. As a white woman that would consider herself an intersectional feminist, it forces me to question whether the label is even necessary. And I'm sure, like with any good TED Talk, you're wondering, well, Courtney, what is the answer? What is the point of all this? Or have I just completely wasted my time? To answer the latter question, I really hope not. But to answer the former, I don't have the perfect answer. As with any complex issue, it's not as easy as just saying there's only one right answer. But before you label someone, anyone, no matter how inconsequential it might seem, pause for a moment. Is this label making it easier for you to perceive an individual or a group of people? Or is it just an easy way for you to avoid fully empathizing with those in question? I can't tell you much else beyond that. I can't spin it into an easy-to-read pin on Pinterest or a phrase on one of those cringy Minion memes. The truth of the matter is that it shouldn't be this easy to understand. Thinking that this is just a black and white, right or wrong kind of issue defeats the purpose of it all. Things are never as clean as we might wish them to be, and we just have to accept that this issue is messy at its core. Being able to slap a quick label on something and call it a day only serves to create more issues, and we just have to recognize that this is complicated. So, before you make a generalization on someone based on their label or classification, anything from political party to religion to whether or not they like pineapple on their pizza, which is obviously the superior pizza topping, question, question, question. You might not find the answer, but the process will enlighten you of your own biases and give room for more empathy. Thank you.